Hello, everybody, and welcome to our seminar. Today, we will be discussing probate, maximising the estate value and the efficiency of property sales. Over 90% of solicitors firms believe their clients choose them for their efficiency. Property sales are involved in almost all probate transactions and are a key addressable area where solicitors can make efficiency gains for themselves, improving the profitability of the process, and also for their clients, improving the aspect their clients value them most for.
I'm Paula Scott, Communications Advisor to Movewise, and I'll be hosting today's seminar with Tom Scarborough, CEO, and Kirsty Burnham, the Head of Property. I'd also like to invite listeners at LegalX today to use the online chat facility to ask any questions that come up during or after the seminar.
I'm Tom Scarborough, the CEO and founder of Movewise. I founded Movewise in 2018 after my own property failed under offer 3 times in a row. I noticed at this point that different agents could produce different amounts of viewings and that using more than one could achieve a higher price and a greater certainty of sale. So we've digitized this solution for vendors and are here to ensure everyone achieves the most from their sale. Prior to founding Movewise, I spent over 20 years in finance, accounting, investment banking, and asset management.
I'm Kirsty Burnham, Head of Property at Movewise. I've been in a estate agency for over 20 years and spent 15 of those at Douglas & Gordon in Battersea, London. I've managed many probate sales over the years, and most recently at Movewise, I've been building the property team and managing our corporate clients.
Tom, I understand you've recently conducted a survey. Could you introduce our listeners today to its findings and the relevance to them?
Of course. Thank you, Paula. We recently conducted a survey of over 50 probate practitioners in a mix of direct interviews and an online survey. The practitioners included a range of mid-market and silver circle private client firms. Some of the larger players also focused on the volume end of the probate market were included in the survey. Over 70% of firms we surveyed claimed probate was a significant portion of their revenue. And for private client-focused firms, it is also an important conduit into future generations. So for solicitors not directly in probate, we still hope this seminar will have relevance to you and your firm as a whole.
And what are the most significant challenges faced by solicitors today?
Independent of the market segment they were in, over 80% of respondents said that the government bodies slowing down the process is the single largest challenge they face in the probate process. We know, and it's widely covered in the legal press, that probate is struggling, with enormous delays in applications at the probate registry and HM courts and tribunal service. We won't be able to solve all of these issues today, but we will raise some discussion areas at the end of the seminar for proposals suggested by respondents from our survey. Where you can make improvements are in relation to the property sale. 83% of respondents indicated that maximising estate value was important or very important for them, and 75% stated that the speed of the sale was important or very important. This is what we'll walk you through today: how you can improve the value your clients achieve from their estate, the speed it is realised, and the efficiency for them and your team in achieving that.
Tom, could you give our listeners an overview of the impact of the suggestions you and Kirsty will make to them today?
Yeah, sure. We understand that probate practitioners have a fiduciary duty as well as a client desire to maximise the value of the estate, and that they want and need a speedy resolution to the probate administration process, whilst maintaining a high degree of control over it. There are 2 key areas where listeners can improve results for their clients. The first, increasing the value that is achieved for the estate. By selecting the right agents using data, negotiating properly with them, and managing them in a multi-agent process, you can achieve better fees, half the chance of a price reduction, and sell 2 months faster, resulting in over 3% more value for each estate. And secondly, increasing the efficiency. Managing the average property sale takes 45 phone calls, 71 email sends, and over 20 hours of time. This is typically done by junior solicitors and personal assistants, although in some cases even senior solicitors are having to get involved. Using an outsourced solution, whilst maintaining a high degree of control, not only reduces the cost to the client, but also frees up the team to perform higher value work.
Okay, that sounds good. And what are your top tips for how solicitors can achieve this?
Start by picking the right agent. The portals will show you the most active agents in a particular location and price range. And enhanced data will show you who's doing a better job with those sales.
We would recommend interviewing the top agents to discover who's been the most active in your area, what they've achieved and what they can offer you for your particular sale. And at that point, you might want to negotiate the fees with those agents that you've chosen. Often with prime properties, it's more effective to negotiate fees once they've actually been to value the property, as they'll have potentially applicants that they've got highlighted in their mind that might be interested in purchasing it.
And how many agents should firms be using to manage sales?
We would recommend starting with one, but always giving yourself the flexibility to use more. It generally takes 3 to 4 weeks for an agent to work their way through their own applicant list and also take advantage of the online listing. But if they haven't sold the property within that time, they'll usually be asking you to reduce the price. And it's at that point that we'd suggest instructing a second agent, as you'll generate more interest by taking this approach. For prime property, you might want to look at using a search agent or also a third agent offline.
This sounds like a lot of work. Can't they just give a few agents the contract and let them get on with it?
Yes, it is. It can be a lot of work, and some agents are much better than others. So when you're selling a property anywhere across the country, you never know how effective that agent's going to be until you've actually listed with them and you're online. They might have some properties that are paying a higher commission and other properties that are easier to sell. So staying at the front of an agent's mind is really imperative, and you need to be able to act when things do slow down. Because each property is unique, it benefits from having some experience when, looking at the possible solutions to generating a sale.
And solicitors' relationships with their clients are very important. What's the best way of maintaining a high degree of control over the sale?
We would recommend always trying to get weekly feedback from agents, liaising with the agents every week to find out what's happening with the property, both in terms of viewings and also potential interest, is really important. You can then decide whether you monitor the progress for another week or whether you need to take some action in terms of potentially switching agent, adding another agent alongside, or sometimes adjusting the price.
And all agents want to sell for as much money as possible, but it's also important for solicitors to get a sale completed in a reasonable time frame. How would you recommend managing that?
The key is to generate enough interest so that you can get the property under offer. And the best way to achieve that is to be using the right agents in a sequential manner, as I described earlier. Another really important area to focus on is the sales progression. By completing documentation up front, ordering searches, management packs where a leasehold property is involved, you can really reduce the time taken to get to exchange very significantly.
I see. And how can outsourcing help solicitors achieve these goals for their clients?
A specialist will use data to analyse agent performance and enhance their initial selection based on the value of the property and the performance of the agents local to it. This is really important because different agents have access to different buyers. Those that have been more active will have more, and those that have been less active will have less. And a single agent with access to less buyers is forced into price reductions earlier than one that isn't. Also, a professional intermediary in that position can leverage their centralised position in the fee negotiation, extracting better terms from either fees or terms or both from the agents for your client.
But won't the use of a third party increase the overall fees paid in the transaction?
No, or not necessarily. Certainly not in our case. We perform all of the above for our clients for no incremental fee. Clients will sign with us a regular sole agency fee, and then we're able to sign the agents under our sub-agency agreement for around 80% of the usual sole agency fee on multi-agent terms. That 20% difference is what we make. And this means that neither the solicitor nor their client is paying any more than they would have to if they were doing it themselves. This is essentially, this is not new. This is how large developers and home builders manage property sales. Yet they'll have an internal team who will do exactly this. An intermediary should be providing that team to the solicitor and their clients.
And what is the key efficiency gain for solicitors?
Well, the big one is that solicitors using an intermediary don't need to do all of this running around themselves. Typically, solicitors will self-manage these processes using junior solicitors or admin staff. And if managed properly, as mentioned earlier, a property sale would take over 20 hours of time on the phone, sending emails between various parties, which all of us are well aware of what a pain that is. Sometimes they work easily, sometimes they don't. By outsourcing this work, these staff members are now freed up to focus on serving the client either with more beneficial legal work or perhaps alternative, higher value activities. For solicitors who charge either a fixed fee or percentage of assets at the estate level, this time saving should immediately improve the profitability of this business segment. There are also further benefits that come from the centralization and digitization of various parts of the sale process, improving its effectiveness. And I'd like to remind everyone at this point, we've mentioned a couple of times that you don't lose any control over the property sale process by doing this, and in fact should be more highly informed of its progress and the steps taken, improving both the outcome in terms of time taken to sell and the value of the estate realised.
You touched on the digitisation of the process. What technology or products have you introduced to facilitate this?
We have a technology team, and they're steadily digitising the end-to-end process. The process improvements that we've made so far over self-manage include a single set of terms and conditions, which are digitally signed. So customers will sign with us with whatever agent they're using across the UK, whether it's Savills in Mayfair or a small agent in Newcastle or Wales. Our terms and conditions are purposefully very attractive with no lockups, meaning that firms who use us for whatever sale they're using across the country no longer need to review individual agents' terms and conditions and search for the traps that get put in those. Valuation service, this is a good one to centralize. We coordinate valuations, whether it's a local agent or red book ones done by surveyors, and then they can be summarized in a single form backed by the valuations themselves, which can be submitted in the application for grant of probate. We do this as a no cost, no commitment service. Furthermore, at the end of the process, if there is any follow-up by the Inland Revenue in relation to differences between the realised price and the original value submitted, we can help with providing the commentary around bridging those differences. We use a digital viewing feedback form. This is a weekly form that we or the sub-agents we're using will complete, detailing all the activity on the property. So solicitors with multiple sales can then put these forms together and review them all in one time at one place. But also they can keep them on file. So when the client for that particular property or that particular probate transaction phones them, they've got the details on file and they can look them up and they're fully up to speed with what's happening on the property.
Tom, I think you've got a slide for this, do you? I think.
Yes, this one here. Thank you, Paula.
That's okay.
We can also centralize the viewings. So we use a company called Viewber, and they will do visits to properties and any work on the property itself. We also provide a dedicated property manager. So for all transactions done by one firm, there'll be a single point of reference. And finally, there's a number of products on the market. We use one called Property Information Packs or PIP reports, where they're collating information up front to speed up the conveyancing process on the side, probably not being managed by our clients.
Thanks, Tom. Would you just also be able to explain a little bit about how long Movewise has been going and the kind of clients you've been working with to date?
Yeah, sure. We've been going since 2018, and we started predominantly working with retail clients, but this has expanded over the last year or so, with increasingly professional clients coming to us. We've now listed 130 properties since inception, which is £95 million worth of property across the UK, ranging in value from 50,000 all the way up to 10 million. We've sold everything from residential property to blocks of flats and commercial property. And we've got the highest, we've now got the highest pan-UK sales rate in the country, and also the lowest price reduction rate.
Great. And can you give some examples of clients you've worked with so far?
Yes, of course, I can do that. We've just completed a probate sale for a Silver Circle law firm. In June of this year, they instructed us to market 2 3-bedroom flats for them in North London, which form part of a single probate estate. Both the flats had very short leases of less than 50 years, so it limited their sales value, as lenders are reluctant to offer mortgages on properties with such low leases. So what we did was we identified the most appropriate estate agents to sell them, and this was absolutely critical. We used our data-driven approach to find the agents with the highest number of similar properties. But in this particular case, we were also looking for agents that had particular experience of marketing flats with short leases and also had a good database of cash or investment buyers. So within 10 days of instructing the agent, we received competing offers from 2 buyers on both the flats. And the sale was agreed and completed in early November, which was just over 4 months after we'd initially been approached by the solicitor. So for the solicitor, during this time, during the sales process, our sales team handled a huge volume of calls and emails, which saved them over 32 hours of work. We generated a huge amount of excitement around the 2 properties because we allowed the agent to do viewings and contact their applicants before the property went online. And that resulted in the competing bids, which ensured that the solicitor could clearly demonstrate their ability to realise the maximum value from the estate for their client. The second example that I'd highlight is a real estate investment trust that we've been working with for about 6 months now. They instructed us to sell a portfolio of their rental properties, and we're managing that for them. They weren't able to do this themselves because they didn't have enough in-house resource to do so. And the properties are located all over the UK, but specifically we've been working with them on properties in Manchester, Birmingham and Leeds. And in preparation for marketing those properties, we first had to collate a lot of information, which we gathered from the various management companies that were looking after the flats. And along the way, these investigations unearthed some issues around fire safety issues, which we're reading a lot about in the press at the moment. So we advised them to not market some of the properties at this particular time, but the other properties we were happy to get onto the market for them. And we used our technology to identify the best agent for each of those properties. And that actually meant using different agents in the same area, depending on what price bracket we were looking in, etc., because different agents specialise in different price ranges of property. Also, many of the properties that belong to this REIT are tenanted. They wanted to avoid any void period, understandably. So we were also targeting agents that had a good pool of investors as buyers on their books, and also, again, cash buyers. So we've sold several of the properties, and we've got several more under offer. We've managed all the negotiations for the client, and we've also ensured that the best price is achieved, and any hold-ups that we might have come up against, they're addressed very quickly and handled very quickly. So for this particular client, handing over the management of multiple sales and using multiple agents across the country has saved them a huge amount of time and administration, because we've given them a single point of contact. That single point of contact keeps track of all the multiple sales across the multiple agents, which can be a real headache. They have one account manager, so they provide progress updates weekly, also summarise the viewings, and also give them proper expert advice on how to proceed if a property perhaps isn't selling as quickly as we'd hoped. It also means that as we've accessed our data-driven technology and they've got the experienced property team behind them, they've ensured that they've accessed the best agents in every area for each property, but also it means that there's a 50% higher chance of achieving a sale compared to a typical local agent sales rate.
Thank you, Kirsty. Tom, you indicated at the start there were some additional findings from your survey related to other aspects of the probate sales process where improvements can be made.
Yeah, coming back to those, the survey threw up lots of different comments, which was nice to see. Most of the suggestions are a little more challenging to immediately address because they involve third parties taking various steps. But we'd certainly like to open the debate around them and would welcome further discussion and ideas. At the end of the day, everyone wants these processes to happen quickly and efficiently. The key suggestions that came out were, first one was better information transmission and checking at the probate registry itself. A second was a platform to communicate better with the beneficiaries, which is certainly one our tech team can look at. Thirdly, a more joined up banking system with consistency in provision of information, transfer of documents and accounts, and monetary release levels. And then finally, they suggested estate agents who understand the probate process.
Which of course is where Movewise can help.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Tom and Kirsty, for your time today.
Thank you, Paula, very much, and thank you to all our listeners.
And thank you to all of those listening. We'd be delighted to take any questions directly in the online forum now.